Hello everyone and welcome to the last session on TNF TV for the coverage of the first test between England and New Zealand. Bazball is well and truly here, Sheeds. Pink ball day nighter at the Bay Oval, and England went really hard on day one, made 325 for 9 in just 58 overs and then declared so Jimmy Anderson could wreak havoc on the New Zealand top order before stumps. I'm Tommy Flanagan, that's Michael Sheedy. We're here to cover all of that. Sheeds, amazing from the Poms, the way that they're going about their cricket at the moment in tests.
Yeah, Baz McCullum and Ben Stokes have definitely got a group of players that believe in each other and believe in this model of playing cricket. It is amazing viewing. We touch on I suppose now the fact that they're actually making it a habit of winning in this fashion. They're not losing, mate, and that's the biggest thing. And I just think that their balance is really, really good. Obviously, without Bairstow, they're still the strongest batting lineup, as a top 6 or 7 in the world at the moment. And I think that's to do with obviously the confidence to which Baz and Stokes are instilling in the whole group. Not only that, not this group, but the rest of the country, mate. They've got batters around the world that can potentially just walk in and take a spot.
Yeah, the depth is outstanding there at the moment, and it's a worry as Australian cricket fans who look towards an Ashes series and the form that Australia's in at the moment. But with this particular game, the first test, Black Caps had to face 18 overs under lights after that 325 for 9 in 58 overs declared, and that plan worked beautifully for England. Latham, Williamson, Nichols all gone before the close of play on day one. It was Jimmy Anderson.
Yeah, Jimmy Anderson just continued to do what he does, and his mate at the other end, they're just the goats, aren't they? And and I do like the way that Robinson fills that next bowling position at the moment. He looks extremely fit in comparison to where he was in the Ashes that we saw out here in Australia only a couple of seasons ago. But it was all set up though at the start of the day with Duckett. Ben Duckett comes into this team. It's his 5th Test match.
It was 50 off 30 at one stage.
Yeah, mate, absolutely.
Day one.
Yeah, amazing. And he got 84 off 68, but it was the nature in which he didn't slog. He just played beautiful cricket shots, and he took it to their bowlers. And to be honest, Southey, Wagner, okay, but then it was what happens after that, because obviously there was no Matt Henry, and there was no Jamieson. They pulled out before the start of the test, and we said in our preview, it was going to be a little bit of a worry with the likes of Will and Gareth when they were talking about it on the last session preview. But it did prove really, really costly, because every single bowler, mate, went at over 5.5 and over. Absolutely extraordinary batting. And when you get through Crawley, all of a sudden you got Pope, goes at a run a ball. Then all of a sudden you got Joe Root, one of the world's best players, playing a reverse dog to second slip when he's on 14 off a quick. Absolutely extraordinary cricket. But then the man of the moment, mate, Harry Brook.
He's a freak.
Wow.
He's an absolute freak. Smashed 16 boundaries on his way to 81 ball 89. And Cagellan and Tickner, you feel for them. They couldn't tie him down. They copped heaps of tap to all parts of the ground. And he's just an absolute beast at the moment.
Mate, he ran at a ball off Southey. If you haven't watched it, please watch it now. He runs at a ball off Southey and he hits at a flat bat with a horizontal bat through mid-off, right? And you'd think it was just a pedestrian park cricketer that he was facing. It went like a rocket. Then the next ball, he sits back in the crease and plays the most beautiful over the top of mid-off, and it didn't just go 5 metres over the boundary. It went 15 metres over the boundary.
Yeah.
It was 110 metres they clocked it at. I didn't even realise that New Zealand was that big, but it still went 110 or 115 metres. And Harry Brook, he's now played 8 Test innings. He's got 350s and 300s at a strike rate of over nearly 100, and he's averaging over 77 in innings. I mean, this guy has come in and taken his spot like no other player in Test cricket history, I will say.
Look out, Bradman, the way he's going. That's unbelievable numbers from Harry Brook.
If you're an English fan, you are going out and you are very happy to wear Brook on your back.
So that was day one. Started day two after Jimmy had just tore through the top order just before stumps at the end of day one. New Zealand resumed at 3 for 37. And then they soon slipped further to be 5 for 83.
Yep.
But from then on, it was a day to remember for Tom Blundell. He achieved his high score in Test with 138 from 181. Terrific knock. He started off with Devon Conway, 77 off 151. Good partnership there. And then later on, had a few important partnerships with the lower order, which gave them some sort of total. Cagellan, Southey and Tickner all stayed there with Blundell, and they got up to 306.
Yeah, and I think Wagner's job, coming in as the 90 and then batting through the next day to actually give them some sort of momentum back their way. I mean, he went at a run of ball. hit a couple of bombs, and the Pongs they just kept banging them in at him, and he kept going. And but yeah, Tom Blundell, I mean, he got 100 at the G on debut, if you remember, against the Aussies, and it was a bloody good 100. And he's shown that he's got some resilience. I really like the way he goes about it.
Yep.
He seems like a no-fuss character. He seems pretty clean with the gloves as well. So, yeah, look, New Zealand have unravelled to an absolute beauty here. He's not overly young, but he just seems to have his game in good nick. And, kudos to him, 138. He was the backbone of that innings.
21 boundaries against Anderson, Broad,
Yeah.
Robinson, Stokes, and an attack that's absolutely up and about on fire, and looked like he was playing on a different pitch to a lot of the others.
Yeah, he did. And, I mean, New Zealand did get to 306, so you can't underestimate the actual competitiveness of the typical Kiwis that they are. Under Williamson's leadership. So I was really pleased the fact that it was still game on, and I think at this stage I may have said that New Zealand had just crept in front because England were going to come out potentially to bat that night. But it wasn't to be, was it?
No, second innings for England was contributions all the way down from the
Everyone.
top to bottom. Yeah, and they were going at a good clip too. Crawley got 29, Duckett 25, Pope 49 off 46, Root 57 off 62, Brooke again 54 off 51, absolute star. Folkes 51,
Yep.
Stokes 31, Ollie Robinson chipped in with a 39. So very well-rounded batting lineup, and missing a few too, which is a bit scary.
Can we just touch on quickly, Flanas? Did you see the Nighthawk Stuart Broad walk out to bat?
Yeah.
He walked out to bat and he decided to continue to play baseball
Have a go.
as the Nighthawk. It just made no sense at all. Oh, that's all right. I'm just going to charge Southie, and and then it was how do you say his name? Cagellan.
Yep.
Cagellan. And if you haven't seen it, he charges him, splayed it up in the air. Blundell and Cagellan come together. Then they both go away from the ball like it was a junior cricket game. And Broad's just left laughing. And we'll show the tweets, but there's a Twitter there from the Nighthawk himself, Stuart Broad, just laughing and saying how he's enjoying that position. So, all in good fun. But geez, they're making cricket fun. Like
Yep.
this is awesome to watch. But I mean, England 374. New Zealand were never a chance to get these because they would have been absolutely shattered. That England just kept batting and fast. So there was never an answer.
Wagner, who's their best strike bowler, he went at nines. He went at 110 off 13 overs, got belted around by everyone. Didn't matter where he bowled, he was getting tapped all around the Bay Oval. And Stokes, he now, with his 2 sixes, has overtaken his coach, Baz McCullum, for the record of the most sixes in Test cricket. So the way they're playing at the moment, you look at Ollie Pope's hit 3 sixes, Roots hit 1, Brooks hit 2, Stokes has hit 2 in that second innings. They are not afraid of just belting it high and long and over the fence.
Yeah, and the New Zealand grounds just aren't big enough for them. I mean, it's very similar to playing in England, but they're already touting Harry Brook to hit the most sixes in Test cricket. So McCullum and Stokes have said their records will not sit for long because this bloke is after them. But the Kiwis, they had it all in front of them. They had to get them, and unfortunately, apart from Darryl Mitchell, it was a bit of a sorry affair.
Yeah, so England all out 374 from their 73 overs. It set New Zealand a target of 394 to win. And it wasn't a great start to the chase for the Black Caps. They lost Conway and Williamson in quick succession. And then not long after, they lost Latham and Blundell. All 4 clean bowled by Broad.
Yeah.
And New Zealand 5 for 28 inside the first 14 overs.
Broad was unbelievable. He just keeps growing in confidence, clearly, in this team environment. Anderson and him are the most well-managed players in world cricket, I believe. They just have it right. I think a lot of credit needs to go also to Jack Leach because although he doesn't get the credit sometimes of being an amazing spin bowler or fancy to watch, the pressure he creates.
Yep.
And also, if they don't want to take down Broad or Anderson, they've got to try and take down Leach, and they just can't because he's bowling it into an area that is absolutely exceptional at the moment. They're full of confidence. And yeah, we keep talking about Anderson and Broad. They're going to get to another Ashes, mate, and they're going to be managed because they've got the likes of Wood, Archer, Robinson. Potts. I mean, they've got this cartel now of bowling that's going to get them through 5 tests and be bloody hard to score against.
And with that cartel, they're able to manage Anderson and Broad and rest them for a test here and there. They're the Benjamin Buttons of bowling, but they can't be that if they play every test. They're going to burn out. So having that depth of fast bowling in their arsenal is just a huge weapon for them.
And also, you've got to remember that Broad and Anderson haven't never chased the white ball stuff. So they've categorically said, Broad the other night, I read on Twitter that he said, I've got no interest in getting whacked around the park for 4 overs at a time. But you know what? They haven't chased the white ball dollar out there. And good on them because they're actually, they're creating a legacy that is going to be pretty much untouched, I think, in this format of cricket, in Test cricket going forward.
And Ben Folkes, we probably think that he might miss out on that first 11 for the Ashes. There's players to come back in, but he's keeping up to the stumps with Brody. Bowling mid 130s. I thought his keeping was very impressive throughout this match.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, he was very, very I mean, we all know he's one of the best clubmen in the world, and he just showed that. And and also, we touched on it in another last session with the girls and how important the keeper up to the stumps is.
Yep.
And to the quicks. We saw it in the first test in Nagpur when Carey came up to Boland. It made a really big difference to the batting. You got to get back in your little kennel there, and to keep the New Zealanders in the kennel, it was exactly what Broad wanted to do, and try and trap them on the crease, and that was fantastic by folks. It was great to see, because every young wicketkeeper out there should be practicing against either a sidearm or heavy throws up the stumps at training in order to practice that skill, because it's very much needed in today's game.
So in summary, England by 267 runs in the first test at the Bay Oval, absolute demolition job.
Yep.
Second test is at the Basin, 9 a.m. Friday, red ball this time, not pink ball. What are your thoughts going into this one? What's your prediction? Do England do it again, or do New Zealand bounce back?
Williamson to go big.
Yep.
So, very rarely will he miss out 3 times in a row. He's a bit like Coley and Root and Smith like that. I think that's why he sits in the top 4, so not surprised there. For me, Darryl Mitchell is still a massive player for New Zealand. I think if him and Conway can work around Williamson, I think the New Zealanders can absolutely bat for a day, and they need to bat for a day and a half. They need to win the toss, bat for a day and a half in order to put some pressure back on England. The key to this is whether or not England can continue to play this style of cricket when they have a day and a half in the dirt. Yep. So we're still yet to see it, where they've had more than that. So, what happens if New Zealand bat for 2 days? Can the batters then come out and go as hard, or do they have to refine that? Or do they go as hard, declare with maybe a in the negative, and then try and set up a last innings, win again, like we saw in New Zealand in England a couple of times against New Zealanders last time. So for me, Williamson to go big. I'm expecting a draw at the Basin.
It's an intriguing series, and we can't wait for that second test at the Basin, 9 a.m. Friday. That's all we've got time for here on the last session. Stay tuned to TNF Socials for more coverage of England versus New Zealand Test Series. Also tune in for our coverage of the T20 Women's World Cup and the Australia v India Border Gavaskar Test Series. I'm Tommy Flanagan. He's Michael Sheedy. This has been the last session. We'll see you next time on Tails Never Fails TV.